Hey everyone, Joyce here. Thanks for joining me today on my channel. It's a new channel I just started up a couple of months ago, so I thought I'd introduce myself and give you a little bit of my backstory. I've been seeing some videos lately that have really resonated with me as far as people in their 50s getting laid off and, how are they going to make money now? Because, well, my story is I worked for the same insurance company for 22 years. One of the big insurance companies, and I figured I'd be there until retirement. A lot of people were. They were there 30, 35 years. Well, I guess it wasn't in the cards for me. So I was in the technology division, basically in the support areas and project coordination type roles. And as a lot of larger companies are doing these days, as technology advances, they restructure, reorganize, rethink. And what that basically means is they lay people off. So in 2022, my company did a reorganization and I was laid off. And I don't resent the company. I mean, it wasn't a personal thing. They were a good company to work for 22 years. They supported me and I had insurance and everything. So, I have no ill will towards that company. But it was an eye-opener. And of course, it had been 22 years since I had gone through the interview process and finding a job and the whole thing. And it was so completely different. I used to be good at interviewing. Yeah. And I found out, wow, I was not prepared for the type of interviewing that companies do these days. It's just, yeah. For example, one of them, several of them, I would have to take these. Once I applied, I'd have to go online and take these tests. I get they were aptitude tests or personality tests or whatever. And apparently, I didn't pass any of them because I never heard from the company again. And then there was one that after taking all of these aptitude and personality tests or whatever they are, I had to call a telephone number and talk to a computer and answer computers questions, and they, my voice would be recorded and apparently somebody would review them. And again, apparently I wasn't chosen. And did I really want to work for those companies anyway? Because that was kind of dehumanizing, maybe even a little demoralizing. But eventually I did luckily get a couple interviews, which kind of boosted my morale until I was in the interviews and realized my skills really weren't relevant anymore my skills. What I had to offer was not what these companies are looking for anymore when it comes to technology positions. And I had already earned my bachelor's degree. I had already, I had been doing the job. I wanted to do the job until I retired. And I really just didn't want to keep going back to school, which in the technology business, you have to keep learning and you have to spend so much time on your own upskilling and up-leveling your skills. And, I guess I just wasn't, I want to just work. Can't I just be done learning? Apparently not. So got laid off, got a nice severance package. At least that carried me through because I was out of work for 13 months or so. And a couple of things I want to talk about the interviewing process. I also would contact job placement agencies, headhunters, whatever you wanted to call them. And again, I had to take several Excel tests, this, that, and the other thing, whatever. Most of them were legitimate. There's some predators out there when it comes to preying on people who need a job, and that's, disheartening a little bit, but you really have to watch. And but then there's the legitimate headhunters that also play games, because there was several times where I felt like they were just sending me to these interviews with companies just to like fill a quota, just to say, hey, we're sending you 3 or 4 applicants, and my name was just randomly chosen as one of them. I really felt like that a lot. And whatever, I just had to play the game, but I really didn't want to. And so it took a long time. And finally, when I was, after 13 months and almost rolling through all of my severance and thinking about dipping into my 401k, I'm like, I just need an income. So I decided to contact an agency that hired for temporary positions, which had worked for me in the past. Of course, that was 20 years ago, but it was the best thing I did, because right away, they got me in with a company. There was a 2-week assignment. 2-month assignment. It was a 2-month assignment with the same pay that I was making prior to getting laid off. No insurance, of course. I think they offered it, but it was like so expensive. And say what you will about our government healthcare system, but I'm glad it was there. I needed it. Anyway, that's a whole other video, maybe someday, but probably not. So, when I took the position as a temporary, they told me, there is no long-term position. They were implementing a new computer system. They needed somebody to get their orders from the old system manually typed into the new system. Hey, I can do that. And I'm pretty fast at it, pretty good, if I do say so myself. So apparently I am. I really like the company. I really like the people that I was working for. And after a couple of weeks, they actually offered me a job, basically doing what I was doing with a little bit of expansion into, order management and stuff like that. And man, it was a blessing. And it's a very small company, much smaller than I ever worked for before. I think there's only like 20 people in the whole. It's a manufacturer, and I work, of course, with order management. And so there's only about 20 people, just a few people up front in the front offices, with me. And wow, we clicked. And I was so blessed. And so that really worked out. But I just really started to think, anything could happen to this job. This company had just been sold to a holdings company a couple of years before I hired on. And I'm like, what if that happens again or something like that? Or who knows? What if we get another pandemic? I need to feel like I'm in control of my money and that I can still generate some kind of income without relying on a company. So I did a lot of research, and I've loved YouTube since 2017 is when I really started paying attention to YouTube, because I came across I got interested in art and painting, acrylic paintings, and there's so many tutorials out there and so many good people. I started watching the Art Sherpa. Miss her very much, but that was my first introduction to all the art tutorials. And then I watched everything: art tutorials, card making, junk journal. I dabbled in a little bit of all of it: art journaling, creative journaling, planning. YouTube for me is kind of like my new TV. I don't watch a lot of TV shows, but I sure do consume a lot of YouTube videos. So I started thinking about doing something in that arena, but working a full-time job, I have to be, careful how I spend my time and my energy. I don't want to burn out. It couldn't be something, that I had to spend hours and hours and hours doing. I couldn't spend 20 hours doing it like a part-time job. I knew that about me. That's just not me. so I started researching, and then and I came across a lot of stuff that just, of course, I want to do everything, but I can't. And I happened to stumble across Miniverse, people opening Miniverse capsules, and they're surprise capsules. This is one of them. This is Make It Mini Happy Hour. And so I thought I could do that. I could open these and reveal what's inside, just like what other people are doing. And I really enjoy it, you know. And I started this on the beginning of October. And my channel seems to be growing pretty good. And, you know, I don't talk in the videos. I just open and reveal and like, ta-da, here it is. And my channel is very shorts heavy. And one thing I did, and I might, if anybody has any interest, make videos about how I use ChatGPT to help my channel grow and to help understand that algorithm that everybody's so terrified of, so ChatGPT helped me work with the algorithm and instead of against it. I still choose the topic and the subject and what's fun for me, but then ChatGPT helps me optimize the verbiage. And it's just so amazing to me how one little word can literally make a video take off or completely die. It's just amazing. And I would not know any of that without ChatGPT. So that's, you know, that's one thing I'll keep doing because it's so much fun. As long as people want to watch, of course. The other thing I want to share with people through YouTube videos is art journaling. This is a composition notebook. And you've probably seen them on the internet that I basically turned into an art journal. And I'll do a flip through one day, but so I'll be sharing my art and doing some, you know, journal along with me type stuff. And this is great fun for me too. So it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like I'm working a second job, you know, and it feels like I'm, you know, connecting with people. And then the other thing, I've always been interested in writing fiction. And I've had all these ideas going on in my head for decades and never really could figure out how to get them out on paper. And I never really had to. I mean, you know, I loved writing. I journal. I write, not just art journal, but I write in a journal quite often. And but I have these ideas. So, you know, I did some research, and with the help of ChatGPT, I came across Substack. And Substack is a place where you can publish serialized fiction. A lot of what people do on Substack is like newsletters and stuff like that, because it's an email engine and a blog. And it's hard to really wrap your mind around it at first. It took me a while, but I think I understand it now. So I'm publishing regularly I just started December 31st, publishing on Wednesdays and Saturdays, serialized fiction. And hopefully that'll do well. So I'm just starting on this journey, even though to go back, I got laid off at 57. That was 2 years ago. I'm 59 now. And so I guess I'm a slow starter because it took me that long to really get to decide what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. And, you know, I'm also a procrastinator or procrastiplanner. I love planning something to death and then not doing it. Anyway, I'm getting over that. I just think it's funny. So now I've learned to not just procrastinate, but to actually go back and look at my plans and follow through. And ChatGPT sends me notifications. I'll set up notifications. And it's kind of, I'm using ChatGPT kind of like a personal assistant. And it's funny because if you think about it, I said, you know, I didn't really want to learn technology and go back to school and all that kind of stuff, but I've learned more in the last couple of months about AI and technology than I ever would have if I had stayed with my company. It was a blessing in disguise. It really was. I'm happier now, more fulfilled. I'm happier now, more fulfilled. Here comes my puppy. And I have hope for the future. My future's so bright, I gotta wear shades. Well, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more, I'll put out a few more. I'd like to share my journey with people and share together what people are experiencing. I think that would really help, because it's terrifying being laid off when you're in your 50s. I was in technology, but regardless of the industry, it's unnerving. So any way we can support each other, I'm here for it. So drop me a comment, say hi, whatever, and maybe see you in a couple of weeks. So until the next video, stay safe and blessed, and love you, Mom in heaven.